Received speakers to the dais, Professor Padmalika Rautai, Mrs. Basanta Thakkar. May I now invite our students, Susma and all, to welcome the guests to the potted plants. Shaktishrec representative Susma and Swarnaprabha. Swarnaprabha, please come and welcome our guests to the potted plants. We welcome our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Sri Santosh Kumar Tripathi sir, to this workshop. We welcome Chairman PG Council, Professor Santosh Kumar Agrawal sir, and we also welcome our Director, Student Welfare, Professor Mohan sir. We welcome our esteemed speakers, Professor Padmalika Madam and Mrs. Vasanta Thakkar Madam. Our sir is going busy with some other activities. So this formal program is going to be very short. May I now invite our director, Student Welfare, to just share a few words with the audience.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Santosh Kumar Tripathi sir, respected Chairman PG Council, Professor Santosh Kumar Agrawal sir, Coordinator Shaktishrec Employment Cell, Dr. Fatima Pradhan Madam, Learning Resource Person, respected faculty members and dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this important program organized by the Shaktishrec Empowerment Cell on Know Your Rights, Know the Law, creating a safe, respectful and responsible campus. Dear students, a university is not only a place to earn degrees, it is a place to learn to become responsible, confident and respectful human beings. And for that, every student must feel safe, heard, respected and valued. Today's program is especially important because knowing our rights is the first step towards protecting ourselves and respecting others. At the same time, knowing the law also teaches us our responsibilities. Our experts will speak about women's rights, anti-ragging and healthy boundaries and help us understand important laws and protection related to post, POCSO and students' rights. I encourage all of you to listen to the speakers carefully and freely ask questions and remove any hesitation you may have about discussing these issues. Let us remember three simple things: respect everyone, speak up when something is wrong, and never be afraid to seek help. A safe campus is not created by rules alone, it is created by each one of us through our words, through our behavior, and our willingness to stand up for someone else. I congratulate the Shaktishrec Empowerment Cell for organizing this meaningful program, and I thank our experts for being with us today. I am sure together we can make our university a place where everyone can learn, grow, and thrive without fear. With these words, I wish the program a great success. Thank you, and very meaningful and enriching session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your encouraging words. Now, may I invite Professor Santosh Kumar Agrawal, sir, Chairman PG Council, to share his thoughts on this occasion.
Thank you, Madam. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Sri Santosh Kumar Tripathi, esteemed Director Student Welfare, Professor Niharanjan Rao, and all the research persons on the dais, and respected Fatima Madam, the coordinator of the Shaktishrec Cell. So first of all, I congratulate the Shaktishrec Empowerment Cell of the Pakistan University for organizing such a meaningful awareness program for our students, that is, know your rights and know the law, creating a safe and respectful, responsible campus. Because it is the right time to organize such a awareness program for our students, because the newcomers are just tomorrow the class will be commenced. So if you know how to respect the newcomers and how to set in the campus, so you are the first learner to know the things, then I hope you must be the research person for the newcomers. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts on this occasion. Now, the time is to welcome our esteemed Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Sri Santosh Kumar Tripathi, sir, to share his thoughts with the audience. So,
Esteemed Chairman of the Council, Professor Santosh Kumar, Director of Student Welfare, Professor Mohan, resource persons, Professor Padmalika Rautre, Basav Gaurav, and Shaktishrec Coordinator, Madam Pratima Pradhan, the faculty members, dear students. The presence of students here and the absence of students here shows the empowered women system in this campus. Those who are absent, they are already empowered. They do not need to hear all these talks as they feel. Those who are present, they are also empowered because they are looking after more empowerment for which they are here. What else to be talked, I don't know. If you look at the situation, there is a topic like women's rights, topic like anti-ragging, there is a topic like POCSO Act and other things. Women empowerment कथा कहया गला रे 80 वर्ष पर स्वाधीनतार 80 वर्ष पर आमे से कथा आलोचना करबा मो मतरे विडंबनार विषय एम्पावरमेंट सेतबेले देखा जाए जेतबेले जड़े साधारण व्यक्ति बा जेकोसी व्यक्ति अन्य ऊपर निर्भरशील थाए अन्य कथाए बायस होता है अन्य बुद्धि रे चले सामाजिक व्यवस्था को आखिरे रखी समाज कौन कहबो भाभी निजर इच्छा निजर अधिकार को दाबी की रखे एवं व्यवस्था रे सुधार आनिया बदल रे व्यवस्था को मानी मुंड को तल कर सेतबेले ही कहबो एम्पावर्ड नहे समय हत्याकांड जब देखा गोटे कन्स्टेबल पुलिस कन्स्टेबल राजरास्त हत्या तीन प्रकार लोक देखते किसी लोक गंडगोल होले मो देह अस्त्र शस्त्र बाजी भाविक सेपटे जाइए पड़ जाइए त्याग छाड़ी किसी लोक हस्तक्षेप करते आहत होते आउ किसी लोक ठिया वीडियो करते एमती आम देखुचे बड़ी पानी जे भाषुची ताको वीडियो करके छाड़ी रील कर व्यस्त थे रियलाइजेशन ऑफ राइट्स रियलाइजेशन ऑफ रिस्पांसिबिलिटी इफ डू नॉट गो टुगेदर इट इज नॉट एट ऑल एम्पावरमेंट आम अधिकार कथा समस्ते कहूचे किंतु दायित्व कथा कहीं कहू दायित्व कथा बेले कहला बेले उत्तरदायित्व कथा कहीं कहूना यदि समस्ते निज लक्ष्मण रेखा भितर रहे निजर दायित्व निर्वाह करेंगे निजर कर्तव्य पालन करेंगे निजर उत्तरदायित्व उत्तरदायी रहे बोधे एम्पावरमेंट ये सब जो सभा समितिर आवश्यकता नहीं वी शुड रियलाइज व्हाट आम आई मो अधिकार कहला बेले मो अन्य जनकर अधिकार को सम्मान दूची कि वो हिसाब से मोर अधिकार अच्छे बाप माँ भी अधिकार अच्छे गोटे लाइफ एग्जांपल देकी कथा सारी मो जानिबा गोटे पुओ झियो भल पाई बाहर दुजन एक बहुत पाठ भी पढ़ते कंप्यूटर साइंस रे सॉफ्टवेयर बाहर पूर्वर बहुत प्रतिश्रुति पुओ पक्षर थिला जे तोर फ्रीडम में मो हस्तक्षेप करी ना तो आहरी पढ़ू तो चाकरी कर बाहला परे shrewdly the boy forgot the promise and asked the girl to serve his parents रोषेई करू खाया करू
टाइमली ये करू मो बापा को औषध देवु माँ को औषध देवु सान भाई अच्छी तार सेवा करू इत्यादि इत्यादि अनेक कथा जोटा झील देहरे गला झील कहला आम बाहा पूर्व जो परस्पर प्रति जो प्रतिज्ञा थिला अंगीकारबद्धता थिला सेटा तुम मान प्रतिक्रिया आरंभ है प्रतिक्रिया निश्चित भाव में विरोध आरंभ है विरोध मारपीट में पहुंचे फाइनाली मारपीट अवस्था विच्छेद घटिला खूब कम दिन भीतर विच्छेद घटिला वर्ष भीतर विच्छेद घटिला एमती घटना अनेक घटुଛି वर्ष जाए भी जाऊँ 2 मास 6 मास 15 वर्ष 12 वर्ष कारण है we are not committed to each other. We are not respecting the rights of each other. We are not considering that we are two individuals to stay together for betterment of both individuals. It is सबुठे सत्य काली सुप्रीम कोर्ट को गोटे जजमेंट देवाक पड़ा जे बापा माँ जदि चाहिए संतान संगति को संपत्ति बाद कर ये कारण कहीं आसला जे कहीं गला बापा माँ केस कले पुआ ना जे पुआ आमको पचारूनी घर बाहर करने बस आम संपत्ति तार लोभ रही से केवल संपत्ति लोभरे आमको पाखे रखी सीना कि अत्याचार कर कौ अधिकार मनीष मनीष भितर संपर्क विश्वास सम्मान श्रद्धा स्नेह प्रेम now it is all commercial relationship give and take relationship पुअर जी अधिकार अच्छी झीर भी से अधिकार अच्छी किंतु आम कौन कह आम कहूँ तू झीटे बाहर कहीं जीव एकुटिया तू झीटे कहीं जवाब दौ पुओ कहला बेले पुओ लगुच वकिल हम भल भल कथा कह झील कहला बेले उत्तर जाऊँ तू जवाब कहीं कर समाज प्रथम प्रारंभ से आवश्यक पड़ुची झील भी एम्पावर्ड हवा दरकार से आवश्यकता पड़ुची यदि श्रद्धा सम्मान स्नेह प्रेम दि जाऊ ना हक हिसाब से चलने अधिकार हिसाब से चलने चुप रहा अत्याचार सत्वे प्रतिवाद न करवा प्रश्न न पचार एवं बड़ जहाँ कहले मानिज सान जहाँ कहले बुझीज ये प्रकृति साधारण भाव में जेनेरेशन जेनेरेशन धरिकी झील मान मुंडे पूरे दिया झील जन्म पर घर को से आरंभ हो सेटार अंत ना कौ जाए विश्लेषण जाऊँगी तार अंत ना प्रत्येक झील को अनुभव करार अच्छी जे मु भी जड़े नागरिक मोर निज इच्छा बंचार अधिकार अच्छे स्वाधीन भाव में बंचार अधिकार अच्छे प्रत्येक पुओ को भी बुझार अच्छी झीलटे हेले भी सी जड़े नागरिक एवं तार सम्मान सह बंचार अच्छे जो ए कथा बुझीजे से बोधे जो वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट जो आवश्यक मीटिंग सभा गर्जन तर्जन तार आवश्यकता पड़े the whole society should understand how it can create an atmosphere so that both the boy and the girl can live with dignity, can live with respect, can live with affection, can live with love, can live with श्रद्धा। आज आईन विषय अनेक कथा चर्चा हो आईन भितर कोटी नहीं क्राउड भायोलेंस अच्छी आईन भितर कोटी नहीं जे झीर अधिकार अलग पुअर अधिकार अलग समस्त समान अधिकार दिया किंतु हमको बुझे पड़ुची आईन जरिए एटा लॉ आपको मान ना जेल विचित्र व्यवस्था 80 वर्ष है बोधे बुझे बुझे थकी गले सरकार तथापि अबुझा केतबेले पुओ मान दायी करा कौन कारण केतबेले झील मान दायी करा गोटे झील को जो हत्या कर दीपटे आर्गुमेंट आज झील मान राति रेस्तोरां खायार अधिकार ना सी कहीं जाऊला से गोटे प्रश्न यही सब जिते अप्रासंगिक नहब समाज रे जड़ी होते जाए आम एमती स्लोगान मारुवा मोर अनुरोध रही फकीर मोहन विश्वविद्यालय परिसर मु भावे सम्मान श्रद्धा स्नेह प्रेम परिसर कहले एठी सेमती किसी व्यवस्था ना मोर 5 वर्ष रहने भितर मु गोटे भी रागिंग कंप्लेन पाई ना केवल कम मान तुम मान श्रृंखला तुम मान परिसर विषय सकारात्मक मनोवृत्ति तुम मान अन्य प्रति सम्मान मु भावुची आम आगामी दिन में सेमती परिवेश सृष्टि करवा परिसर को स्नेह श्रद्धा सम्मान भर्ती करवा परस्पर को सम्मान जनाइबा एवं एमती किसी करवानी जो आईन हाथ में आमको धरा पड़ा पड़े एंटी रैगिंग लॉटा बहुत कड़ा है बांधी देवार व्यवस्था है तो आम मन रखा दरकार जो मो व्यवहार में एमती कहीं कार्पण्य करी जो कि बंधा है कौन झील को दुर्व्यवहार करवा अनिच्छा सत्वे किसी जोर जबरदस्त करवा आईन बहिर्भूत काम आम से कहीं कर किंतु मोर समस्त अनुरोध रही आईन अच्छी ठीक अच्छे आम आईन को हाथ को नवा से कथा भी ठीक अच्छे किंतु आम स्वशृंखलित हवा निजे एते मात्रा श्रृंखलित हवा जो कि आईन पाक जावाक पड़ो आईन आश्रय ना पड़ो मुझे जानी मो पिला अति श्रृंखलित मो पिला माने शुद्धता नुहति कथा शुणती राति कार्यक्रम हेले भी पाखे ठिया गले से निज बाट रही जाए एमती ना से उपभोग करते ना किंतु कथा मान सेमती परिवेश रहू एवं आज मोर अनुरोध रहा जो 3 जन वक्ता आसान कथा शुणव एवं निजर सीमा रेखा निर्धारित कर कुलपत्र भी सीमा रेखा अच्छे सी को जापर लिखाई समस्त सीमा रेखा अच्छे किंतु आम कर्तव्य करवा दायित्व निर्वाह करवा एवं आम कर्तव्य और दायित्व जरिए उत्तरदायित्व को आखिरे रखा आग को बढ़ा विश्वविद्यालय को आगू जावाक समस्त सहयोग दरकार समस्ते एकाठी पारिवारिक मनोवृत्ति नहीं जावा आम जब आंटी रैगिंग फैगिंग ये सब जिन भर को भर्ती करवा ये सब आम एत परिमाण में बदनाम हवा जो कि विश्वविद्यालय जो आभिमुख्य अच्छे से आभिमुख्य दूरे मु भावुँ प्रत्येक छात्र छात्री निश्चित भाव दायित्व निर्वाह करेंगे खाली छात्र छात्री नुहे अध्यापक अध्यापिका कर्मचारी निज सीमा रेखा भितर रही निज कर्तव्य पालन करेंगे आम विश्वविद्यालय को एक सुंदर परिवेश दवा सुंदर परिसर दवा जो आम प्रशंसित हवा बहुत धन्यवाद बहुत संख्यार आसोली जो अध्यापक अध्यापिका मैंने समस्त धन्यवाद एभली कार्यक्रम आयोजित कर शक्तिश्री जो बड़ी अच्छी संगठन अच्छी से संगठन को भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद किंतु शक्तिश्री साथी ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ବଡ଼ ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ, ସିଏ କୋଅର୍ଡିନେଟ୍ କରିବେ। ଶକ୍ତିଶ୍ରୀ ସଦସ୍ୟ ଯେଉଁ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ ନିର୍ବାହ କରିବେ ଯେ ଅନ୍ୟକୁ ନିଜକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ସହିତ ଅନ୍ୟକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦେବେ। ପରିସରରେ ସେଭଳିଆ ପରିସ୍ଥିତି ନାହିଁ। ପରିସର ବାହାରେ ଯଦି କିଛି ଘଟୁଛି ଡରିବା ନାହିଁ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମେ କରିଥିଲୁ ସେ ଯେଉଁ ନିଜକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ଯେଉଁ ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିଥିଲୁ, କେତେ ପିଲା ଆଟେଣ୍ଡ କଲେ ମୋର ଧାରଣା ନାହିଁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରଥମ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ ତୁମର, ତାପରେ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଆଶା କରିବେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କୁ। ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ହୁଅ, ଦୃଢ଼ ହୁଅ, ଏବଂ ଦୃଢ଼ ଖାଲି ଶାରୀରିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ନୁହଁ, ମନୋବଳ ବି ଦୃଢ଼ ରଖ। ତାହେଲେ ଆମେ ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ମହିଳା ହିସାବରେ ପ୍ରତିପାଦିତ କରିପାରିବା ନିଜକୁ। ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ।
For your thoughtful messages and words and inspiring messages to all the participants present here. And I express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed valued guests, Professor Sri Santosh Tripathi sir, Professor Agrawal sir, and Professor Mohan Raut sir for their esteemed presence in the meeting. Thank you very much. Now our resource person, Dr. Geetanjali Pannanam, is present with us. We would like to welcome Dr. Panda with the potted plant. And we are going to begin the sessions and the first speaker of the session is Mrs. Vasantha Kar, faculty of Department of Law, Fakir University. Madam has very hold on the law and the rights about the women specifically. And I don't have much to introduce much about. I don't know much about Madam. Madam will introduce you also. Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Pratima, the coordinator of this Shaktishrec cell. I am a faculty of the law department of this university, and I do not since I'm a in person of the university. I guess I do not know much of introduction amongst you all. So I just start with today's session. A very good afternoon to everyone present on and off the dais. Respected distinguished panel members on the dais, respected faculty members of the dais, and dear students. Today the topic of discussion is women's rights under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, under the head of Know Your Rights, Know the Law. At the very outset, let me put out to you all very clearly, as the students especially, that you do not need to know any law to follow today's session, and that is the very purpose of today's session, is that every single person in the room, in this room, wherever you are from or whatever you are studying or whosoever you belong to, any discipline, to work out with a working, usable understanding of what the law says, what a woman facing harm can actually do about it, and what all of us, regardless of gender, are expected to do. As our Vice Chancellor sir rightly pointed out, that it is not, it is not the responsibility of women or any authority to make you feel safe, to bore the law in their head. It is everyone's of us responsibility, including every girl, every boy in this room, to make this world a safer place for women. It is not the individual responsibility of any woman or any authority over here. Here is why this is not just a law topic. If you go on to work in a lab, journalism students are here while they are working in a newsroom or any student of physics or science background, working in a laboratory, in an institution, other government workplaces, anywhere you're working, uh, you will, and the catchword is that you will, not might. As in, like every one of you, I'm not saying, God forbid, nobody goes through any kind of such situation, but every one of you, either you will, or your colleague will, or your friends will, they will come through such situations. Maybe cases of harassment, cases of domestic violence, cases where any of your you are arbitrarily taken down by the police or arrested by the police. Anything can happen, and that is that you cannot legally report about a survivor's victim's identity. So a journalist, a journalism student, they must know that you cannot abruptly report about a victim survivor's identity uh, the way you like without the person's permission. Likewise, a psychology student needs to understand why the law now insists a woman's statement to be recorded in a certain way. Student of forensic science or any working in forensic labs, you will directly apply some of the provisions that we are going to discuss today. And that is specifically why the law touches every profession, every sphere of life in the school. I want to start with something that might surprise you when the nation quietly carried out one of the biggest legal transitions since independence. That is on 1st of July 2024. That is on 1st of July 2024, India replaced three colonial era laws: the Indian Penal Code 1860, the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, and the Indian Evidence Act 1872, with three new codes that goes to say the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita or the BNS, which defines crimes and punishment, the Bharatiya Nagarika Suraksha Samhita, which lays down the procedure, basically how a complaint actually becomes a police case and then a trial, and the Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam, or BSA, the rules of evidence that a court is allowed to believe and rely on. Though this session asks me or demands to specifically emphasize on the provisions of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, but while I give you some knowledge of mine, I'll take you through some other general laws, that is BNSS and BSA, and as well some special laws of the land, that is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, some maintenance law provisions like after marriage, after a girl is married, if she doesn't want to stay in the marital home, or if she is abruptly thrown out of the marital home, or let's say she is divorced, then what are the legal remedies that she can take hands on to? Now, before we open any of these codes, we need to understand that where these acts, codes, samhitas, whatever we are going to discuss, provisions, whatever it is, where these draw the authority from. Now, every law in the land, whichever provision, whatever it is, they derive their authority from a single statute book. And remember this very clearly. That is the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India is the mother of all laws, and every law derives its authoritative power from the Constitution of India. Now the question again arises. The Constitution merely speaks of rights, right? if the social science students may relate to it, or generally everybody has been reading it in the civics books since class 9th and 10th, that Article 14 says about, equal protection of equality before the law and equal protection of the law. Article 15 says that the state shall not discriminate anyone based on their caste, creed, birth, sex, whatever. Then how actually the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita implemented any of the protection laws for women in the code? There then Article 15, subclause 3 comes into picture, which adds something very specific. It allows the state to make special protective laws for women and children. That single clause in the constitutional permission slip for every woman specific provision we are about to discuss. It is not an extra treatment, it is a deliberate constitutional design to correct an existing imbalance. It is an affirmative protection the Constitution itself contemplates. Some of you might have come across Article 21 as well. Article 21 says right to life and personal liberty. Now, the apex court of the country, the Supreme Court of India, has gone a step further ahead interpreting this article, saying that Article 21 gives you the right to live, but with dignity. And that very word, the dignity word, that comes to play in every woman protection law. That to live with dignity, which has been inculcated in every of the provisions that protects women against any kind of violence. So this was all about the and how the law came to be, or how it draws where from it draws its powers from. Now let's come to the topic of today. Let's dive into the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita and its specific provisions, what the law says, and some information which is quite relevant to each one of you. I see a lot of you have come after lunch. You are not very interested to listen, but I feel that if you listen one or two things and if you take back one or two provisions with yourselves, that will come a long way to you. That will take you a long way. I'll come to that, how it is going to help you. So, the BMS actually devotes an entire chapter, that is chapter 5 of offences against women and children to this subject. I'll come to the first things first. I'll come to the sexual offences against women under section 63 to 70 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Coming to the very debated, very well-known, and the offense that comes every now and then into your social media feeds, you see it every day, that is the offense of rape. Now, the country has been witnessing a rampant rise in rape cases in the recent times. But we really need to know, we only see it as a news, but we really need to know what are the provisions provided in the law. And let's, God forbid, but if you come into a situation where you can help a colleague or a friend of yours in a situation like this, then that would be your, you will feel great about yourself. Coming to some sections. Section 63 defines rape and 64 sets the punishment to be rigorous imprisonment of 10 years, at least 10 years, which can extend to life imprisonment along with fine. Now, section 65 increases the punishment sharply when the survivor is under 16 or under 12 years of age. And this provision coincides, is in consonance with the POCSO Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. this particular law, this particular section, and this thing of the offense of rape was much into debate. If you all remember during the Nirbhaya times, 2012, when the Nirbhaya judgment came out, and there was a hue and cry nationwide. There was the nation was deeply shook to its conscience, and that actually changed a lot in the law. The provision of rape that was that any offender who is above the age of 18 years will only be considered an adult and put to trial as an offender of rape. But the 2013 criminal amendment that came up, it changed that any person who is below the age of who is above the age of 16 years. So the age was reduced from 18 to 16. So that the juvenile age has come down to 16 and backwards. So any person who is 16 years and above the age and committing any heinous crime like this will be put behind the bars. That the law has changed and it had a vigorous effect. Why? Because if few people remember or not, I don't know. But one culprit of the Nirbhaya case, he was 17 years and 8 months, and that single thing has changed the entire scenario. He did not go behind the bars. The law couldn't do anything. He was the courts had to send him to juvenile trial home and not try him as as an adult, and he was free. Now, this minimum change in the law has brought about a big change in the legal scenario. The other thing is, if there is an assault and it results in the death or leaves the survivor in a persistent vegetative state. What do you mean vegetative state? That means that you go into a medically, in common words, you can say coma, or medically you can term it as brain dead. So if the survivor or the victim of rape or assault, that person goes into a position where she is declared as medically brain dead, then the offender of that offense will be punishable by death, life imprisonment, or a minimum of 20 years of imprisonment. This was also the law that was brought after the Nirbhaya case. Now coming to section 68 that punishes sexual exploitation by a person in position of authority or trust. This is very relevant to where we all are. We work in offices. You people as students, you work in labs, you work in your institution or wheresoever. We will always have authorities above us, people who are in position of power. Remember, if anyone exceeds the limits of their position of power to exploit you sexually, you have a lot of power to go behind that person, and the law punishes the offender very harshly. Coming to a generation where live-in relationships have been decriminalized or have been legalized by the Apex Court, by the Supreme Court of India. There, Section 69 of the BNS comes into play. It criminalizes establishing any sexual relation through deception, including a false promise of marriage that the man never intended to keep, punishable up to 10 years. Now, this is a contradictory law of legal relationships being legalized. On one hand, legal relationship is being legalized by the courts, but on the other hand, the courts have provided you enough safety as a woman, because whether it's legal relationships or it's marriage, violence happens through every relation, and when the law has legalized something, it has to give you protection as well. That this particular thing of criminalizing people in legal relationships has come up in the case of Rajneet Singh Soni versus state of Uttar Pradesh,
which the court said that there should be a direct nexus, as in there should be a direct connection between the promise of marriage and between the act that the offender has done. Now, these are some statutory provisions that the law books provide, as in your crime and punishment part. But what about the actual implementation of law? Well, the catch is here, and what you need to know is how you can put it into use in your daily lives. Now, let's suppose that some XYZ woman is a victim of a case of rape, and she has come to you. Now, what are you going to do? That you are going to advise her to go to the police, right? And the first step is to register an FIR, first information report. Now, all of you know what's an FIR, how is it being filed, you have to go to the police stations, you have to file it, and so on and so forth. But let's say, but the general rule is that an FIR can be filed only in your jurisdictional area, where you are placed. The place you are living, you are in Odisha, you are a resident of Odisha, you can file the FIR where you are living. The exception to it has come up with the development of law. The very word of zero FIR. Now, what is zero FIR? Under section 173 of the BNSS, a woman, actually it's a gender neutral law, a woman or a man, anyone can register in zero FIR, can walk into any police station in India regardless of where the incident has happened, and the police must register her complaint. This is called a zero FIR. The logic behind zero FIR is it gets a temporary zero number serial whenever you register the case. Area, it's beyond the limits of our area, we will not file it. No, they cannot do it. You can immediately, if the police is not ready to hear you, you can go to the superintendent of police. If not, you can come to the court with a complaint case. But it's a mandate for every police station to register a zero FIR. Now, and with that, after filing an FIR, the police has to give you mandatorily a copy of that FIR as well. This is one more milestone achievement of the Nirbhaya case by the Justice Verma Committee. This is all about when the woman is ready to come up to the police station to file the FIR. Now, if there's a case where there's not one case, it's very sad, but I may quote it to you that where they're discussing the protection of women, the laws that protects women, that protects the violence against women at that era of our living. There are a lot of women, not women actually. The society stigmatizes any offense, that is either the offense of rape or any sexual assault, any assault against women. It stigmatizes the victim and not the offender. And that is why a lot of women go back and do not register any kind of FIR. So if there is a scenario where a woman wants to put up her agony in front of the authorities, police authorities, or let's say magistrate, but she does not want to come up to the police station, then what is the remedy for that? Section 176, subsection 1 of the BNSS that says that in rape cases, wherever possible, a woman police officer records the survivor's statement at her home or a place of her choice, and this may be captured in a video, including a mobile phone. And section 176, subsection 3 says about the forensic expert who is to examine the victim's place where the crime has happened, must visit the crime scene to collect evidence for any offense. Section 179. This, my friends, you have to remember and you should remember. is that a woman is not required to go to the police stations for any purpose of investigation that the police calls for. But if she wants, if you do not wish to, you can deny it. You can say, I will not go. The police will come down to you, record your statements. This is the very right a woman has inherent with her. Now, Section 180 and 183 says about statements before police and before a magistrate. In these cases, as far as possible, recorded by a woman officer in the presence of a woman. Investigation of these kind of offenses of any kind of harassment or sexual assault of that kind that must be completed within 2 months. This responds to one of the most common world real problems that what is the law doing? It's only the cases are getting dragged for years and years and it's not getting solved. So now the recent criminal law amendment has come up which says that there's a 2 months gap within which the investigation has to stop by. Again, for people of journalism, if there's any, you need to know that Section 72 of BNS, it protects the victims, any assault victim's rights, and it says that you cannot publish the identity of a victim without her authorization, and that's a mandate of the statute, not a word of the ethics. You should remember. And again, one more is that a woman cannot be arrested after sunset and before sunrise unless there is exceptional circumstances. If a woman is to be arrested in between sunset and sunrise, then only on the presence of a woman police officer, otherwise not. Now, whatever we have discussed until now is a harsher form of punishment, a harsher form of the crimes that we have discussed. Now, the everyday harassment offences that is dealt under Section 74 to 79 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And this cluster actually happens in every of your classrooms, in your library, bus stop, you are standing by, or hotels you go, or hostels are living, your corridor, everywhere. And it is really interesting how the law deals with it. Section 74 of the BNS, it says, outraging modesty of a woman. What is modesty? Modesty is something, as justices of the Peck's Court have said, that modesty is writ large on the body of a woman. What is that? Let's say you are passing by someone and any guy, anyone is passing by and he just collides in your shoulder. And you felt uncomfortable, you felt angry, you felt agonized by that very act. And you felt your modesty was violated. That very thing will amount to outraging of modesty. Modesty does not have to be a big incident, something about harassment or any other sexual exploitation, no. Only if you have a feeling that my rights then and there has got violated, that is outraging modesty of a woman. There's a very interesting case to this. The case is of Rupal Bajaj versus KPS Gill. It's an elite case of the country. In back into 1988 of the years, KPS Gill, then DGP of the Punjab, allegedly slapped the posterior of Rupal Bajaj, a senior IAS officer, at a dinner party. Rupal Bajaj files an FIR under Section 354, the then outraging modesty law under the Indian Penal Code. The High Court quashes as an omits the FIR, says that, oh, what offense it is, only he was very friendly with you, he has come to the party, he has just slapped you. The case is famously known as butt slapping case. He has just only slapped you at your back. It's not a big offense. What offense has been happening? You're overreacting, and the High Court dismisses the case. Rupal Bajaj, she moves to the Supreme Court with the same case. The case goes on for 17 years. The litigation runs for 17 years and ends in 2005, deciding by the Honorable Supreme Court of India that the High Court has erred in its judgment. The High Court has literally gone very wrong with its judgment. The court gave a wide interpretation to modesty under section 354 or 509 of Indian Penal Code, holding that an act need only be capable of shocking a woman's sense of decency and dignity. If an act is that much which shook the woman's conscience and she felt violated of her dignity, that very act itself will amount to outraging the modesty of that woman, and it did not go any further. Now coming to some other offences, there's sexual harassment, disobeying a woman or voyeurism, stalking. The very common word within yourself is stalking. You use it in your daily life. Let's stalk this. Let's stalk that person. But this very joke of yours of stalking, that let's stalk this, that, whatever, it can make you fall within the very section, and that can criminalize you as well. Because stalking is not only physically following someone, but also monitoring their emails, phones, or internet activity despite a clear signal that this is unwanted. This was all about the provisions of BNS. Some other sections which confine to the rights of women in the four walls of a house. A married woman, that is about dowry death or cruelty, and so on and so forth. So sections 80, 85 and 86, they specifically speak about your dowry death, cruelty by husband, what is cruelty, and all those sections. So again, coming to what is cruelty? Cruelty, as you understand, is beating someone, slapping someone, or those kind of violence are when physical violence, they are termed as cruelty, but not really. I'll give you a single example. Let's say if a husband has taken the ATM of the wife and taken out all the financial capacity out of her, and he wants to control her financial capacity and is constantly putting down her in front of her in-laws. Now that exactly will amount to cruelty. That, because cruelty includes every emotional, every physical violence. I'll pick up with the other summations as well. I had a lot, but I guess we're running out of time. So, under the Domestic Violence Act 2005, the laws against says who is an aggrieved person, and says that a woman did not have names in the paper of the household to stay in the same household. A woman, after being married, if she stays with you, she has the right to be maintained out of the husband's property. She has the right to food. She has the right to clothing, and she can stay there. Even any ownership under her name is not very important. I will sum up with that. Yes. So I'll take up some questions if anybody has any, and we'll end the session with that. Yes, anyone? Okay, I guess nobody has no question. Everybody understood everything. So thank you so much, Shaktishrec. Thank you so much, Madam, for inviting me for the next lecture. I'll leave you with that. Thank you all.
Some of the members in ICC cell interacted with me that an incident happening outside the campus, if somebody is teasing the girls, because you know that in the outside the campus we are having some shops, and they are complaining that what we can do. I just told that we can, since we can accompany with you to the police station to give the FIR. What exactly the law provisions are in this regard?
Nancy, first of all, as ICC cell of the university, we are not personally, we cannot act thereby, because ICC is all about the internal problems of the university. Now about eve-teasing, we have section 79, yes, section 79 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So it says that any gesture, any word, whatever is if uttered which violates again the modesty of a woman, then that can be taken as a criminal act, and that can be taken to police station. So what you can do is you can go to the police, at least not you, but ask them to go to the police station and register an FIR. That's how it will be solved, and the investigation can go on. They can find. Actually, I'll say the real scenario. These are bookish things which I said, but the real scenario is they do register a case number. They do a station-like entry in the police station. First handly, they try to, because our criminal justice system is all about reformation. How can we reform the criminal? So the police, every police station has counselors. They call the people who are doing such things. They try to educate them on that. You did not do this. It can end you up in jail in a criminal situation where there can be a criminal case in your name. These all can happen. After this, and they'll give a timeline. So you will observe you for 2 months or 3 months or let's say 4 months. If you repeat your any such offense within that time, then you will register a file. And so much so that is a correct system also, because many of the students, they do not know that as I said, stalking, teasing can be penalized or criminalized. They do not know that. So educating them is the first thing. But if someone is a habitual offender, then that should be punished as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for a very wonderful session on this Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Thank you once again for being with us and deliberating your topic. May I now invite our next resource person, Dr. Gitanjali Pandamana, to the dais. It is my privilege to introduce Madam Gitanjali Panda, who is a faculty member as well as head of the department and associate professor of economics at the Department of Social Science, Mohan University, Balachar. Dr. Panda is actively associated with the teaching and academic activities in the field of economics and has been contributing to the academic environment of the university. She is also the warden of the hostel, girls hostel, for the last 15 to 16 years. We are delighted to have her with us today and look forward to benefiting from her insights and experiences. Ma'am, we want to welcome you and request you to kindly share your valuable thoughts on this occasion. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Pratima, for having invited me as a resource person in this occasion. But let me see to what extent I will be able to satisfy your requirement. I have been given the responsibility to help you to know about the anti-ragging regulations under the UGC. So the basic objective of having this regulation is to give you a safe environment, so that because everybody can grow better if you are working in an environment which is free of any kind of fears, which is healthy, you are emotionally happy. So, because when we want to develop, we always, to have boost yourself, your academic success, or to protect your mental health, we need always a completely free from any kind of physical danger, emotional distress, and discrimination. So, keeping this in view, because there were very large number of incidents of ragging in India in the year actually 2009, because of some directions of the Supreme Court, every educational institution is legally bound to have the anti-ragging cell who will look after the three things. Always in any kind of regulations you will find three things: prevent, prevention, and elimination. Three words. Prevent means prevention is always better than cure. So every university should take up such activities which can prevent occurrences of ragging, and there is prevention. So there are some punishments. If you do it, you will be punished. So basically, we will deal with what is called ragging and what are the punishments if you are involved in any ragging activity, and how the mechanism, if you are suffering from an incident of ragging, how you will address your complaint and who will solve it. Those things I will cover. So the first thing I will say, the objective is to eliminate ragging in all its forms, from the universities, deemed university, and other higher educational institutions, by prohibiting it, by preventing its occurrence, and by punishing those who indulge in ragging under the regulations applicable and applicable law. So this is binding by law. If you indulge in such activities, any action can be taken against you. And so before that, what is ragging? That is, ragging are various forms. Madam will deal with post activities. Suppose what is so activities which comes under post. Similarly, what are the activities which are considered as a ragging activity? One is conduct by spoken or written words, or acts that teach, rudely treat, or handle a fresher or any other student. Usually we think that seniors, when the juniors come to the hostel, they think themselves superior to the juniors, and sometimes they use harsh words. They teach them. So any such teaching, even if it is either written form or you are speaking something rudely to some person, that is considered as ragging. Any undisciplined activity which was annoyance, hardship, or physical or psychological harm to somebody, that is also ragging. Sometimes you force a student to do an act that causes shame and embarrassment to somebody, which we have seen in 3 Idiots picture. That is, they are asking the juniors to strip off their dresses and dance. That may cause mental harassment to somebody. Some may feel ashamed of it. So you cannot do that. It is a part of ragging. And any acts by the senior that prevent, disrupt, and disturb another student's regular academic activity. Suppose a junior student comes with a clue that I will spend some time on studies, I will spend the evening for studying. But one of his friends started disturbing, and which affects his regular academic activity, that is also ragging. Unless you know what is called ragging, you may cause it unintentionally, but that person may take it as a ragging. Then you have to be sure that whatever activity I am doing, whether it is disturbing the junior or not. Okay. So you can also exploit a fresher or another. It is also written another student. That means it's not only fresher. It can be any student who is a classmate of yours. She can also complain against you. Suppose you have an academic task, you force your friend to do the task on behalf of you. That is also ragging. Because thinking yourself that you have more power over your junior, so you force your friend to complete your academic task. That is also ragging. So what is ragging is that is there in the internet. You can go through it and just touching upon the few points. Another is financial. Sometimes you are forcing somebody extract money from your friends because you think you are more powerful, your senior students. That is also ragging. You cannot force somebody to spend on you. And physical abuse, that is sexual abuse, obscene and lewd acts, or you do something which harm the body of the person, that is ragging. It can be verbal, it can be electronic also. Electronic means abusing somebody through email, exploiting the person. So that's the thing. In 8 May 2009, the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court directions, every under the UGC Act, it is incorporated. So every higher educational institutions has taken it seriously, and they have a we have a toll-free number helpline where you can immediately complain. Actually, so these are the institutions which are starting from national level to the university level. If you can complain at anti-ragging monitoring committee, that is in the Ministry of Education, and then there is the anti-ragging cell inter-council committee. It is also at the national level. There is a monitoring agency, that is C4U, and there is also a national helpline, 24/7 complaint and support mechanism. And at the university level, there are two bodies. One is anti-ragging committee and anti-ragging squad. So out of these five regulatory framework, four at the national level, two are at the university level. Every university is bound to have a anti-ragging committee and a anti-ragging squad. The most important, now you must have seen at the time of admission, you are filling up a form, anti-ragging form. That is mandatory. You have to do that because everything is recorded at the national level. Who are the students who have completed filling up the forms, and anti-ragging committee, and all these are written. You will see through the area. I will cover all these things. This is the transparent complaint process. How it is done? First, if you are ragging incident, you don't need to complain at the university level. You just, that is email to a particular national anti-ragging helpline is there, and there is an email also. You just put the complaint there. Then they will forward that to the relevant higher authorities, and investigations will take place at the university level. And if it is unresolved, it will be again sent back to the monitoring agency, and case remains active until the complainant is satisfied and written consent is obtained. That means if finally it is resolved, then the case will be closed. Otherwise, it will remain like that. And this is the email number, helpline@anti-ragging.in. It's for everybody. Anybody who faces any incident of ragging, please you give an email to this, automatically it will be addressed. And the other one is a helpline number, and monitoring agency is the center for youth, and the most important is mandatory anti-ragging undertaking every academic year, which I think freshers are not here, but while you have taken admission, you must have done this. That is anti-ragging undertaking you have given, and
Madam, few freshers are there.
freshers are there. Okay. So they must have done this because without that we are not completing the process of admission. It is mandatory. You will not be given signature on your form unless you have submitted it. That is very important because if there is a record is maintained at national level, who are the students who have been admitted to higher education and whether they have completed the form or not. And there are some preventive measures to prevent. I have already told in any regulations you will find three words: prevention, prohibition, and redressal. Yes. So for prevention of ragging, what are the state government has done? Adequate publicity and a strengthened anti-ragging mechanism. You must have seen that many posters are there in the university regarding anti-ragging policy of the government. That is only to spread publicity of the thing. And every university has anti-ragging squad and a cell. And CCTV cameras are there in sensitive places, so that if any events happen, that will be recorded. And continuous WhatsApp seminars for freshers and senior students. Suppose today, what we are doing, we are trying to organize some seminar kind of WhatsApp kind of thing to make you aware of the thing. And sometimes we provide professional counseling. After suppose we will have an induction program, those are freshers. They will go through an induction program where we will have that induction program through which we will also make you aware of the anti-ragging activity or this or whatever I am telling that we will today. There is a nodal officer contact number that all will be given to you. And undertaking, this is regarding undertaking, this is a mandatory prevention measure, whatever I told, that is prevention. Then comes your awareness measure is also there, spreading awareness, public declaration, websites, booklets, display of posters, even we will give printed leaflet to the new freshers, launch a publicity campaign, all this will happen to prevent it. And there are certain posters which you must have seen. These are the posters, but some new posters have come up by someone saying this is the old one. I didn't get it, but posters are there. In every department, while you enter, there will be some poster pasted in the wall. These are the posters. And what are the punishment? Let me go through. Suppose somebody is found to be guilty of, starts with suspension from classes and academic privileges. That is first one. You will be stopped from attending classes and whatever academic benefits you are getting, you will be deprived of that. Suppose you are getting scholarship. Nowadays every girl gets a scholarship. But if you are found guilty of ragging, then will be withdrawal of scholarship, fellowships, and other benefits. You can be debarred from appearing the examination or evaluation process, or you can be debarred from representing the institution in any kind of meeting, regional, maybe national, maybe international, or youth festival, tournament, because there will also be cultural activity, inter-university cultural, inter-state competitions. You will be debarred from all kinds of competition. You will be suspended from the hostel. I am a superintendent for last 15 years, but I am happy that till now not a single girl has been suspended on this ground. That shows our students are aware and disciplined. I hope it will continue in future so that I need not to take harsh action against anybody. Okay. It can be cancellation of admission. Suppose your parents have a hope, they have sent you to join Fakir University, but for a misconduct, you may be deprived of your admission in the Fakir, which is definitely not desirable. cancellation of admission, restriction of 1 to 4 semester, maybe restricted for 1 semester or 2, but because these are punishments depends on the gravity of the situation. What kind of ragging you have done, and it can be collective punishment. So that is FIR within 24 hours. You have to do register an FIR, and if there is a staff lapses in the reporting or taking prompt action, then that can lead to departmental disciplinary action. That means even if somebody complains on the staff, we are negligent about taking action on it, then punishment can be against us, or disciplinary action can be taken against us. Whereas lapse is attributable to the head, designated appointed authority takes departmental disciplinary action. So that means if a complaint is there, we have to be prompt to take action on it. That is the thing. So there is also institutional responsibility. The institution as a whole is responsible. In fact, any institution shall condone any reported incident of, suppose, an institution try to hide certain facts, then action can be taken against the institution. It can be ranking, grading in act will be reduced, or that means not only the student is punished, no action is punished. There no action by the institution will be punished, or no action by the faculty member or head of the department action can be taken against the head of the department. That is a practical role of the teacher. These are the role of a teacher. A teacher should always take your complaint seriously, listen without blaming or dismissing the concern. Sometimes the teachers, when a student complains, doesn't take it seriously. That is wrong. Any teacher should take the complaint of a student seriously and ensure immediate safety and connect the student with the appropriate institutional authority. Anti-ragging cell is there. The teacher should immediately help the student to contact that cell. He has to record relevant facts and report the complaint promptly to the prescribed mechanism and cooperate with the anti-ragging committee, that's what, and extremely against such kind of activity. So that the student you should be aware, as a teacher you should also be equally aware. And these are things. Ragging is not a fun or familiarization. Sometimes when the new students come, the seniors try to teach as if they are familiarizing them with the environment. No, any kind of fun or familiarization for sake of fun also you cannot drag somebody. That's the thing. And it is prohibited and punishable. That you know what is the punishment. I have been telling you that punishment can be of various level. It depends upon the gravity of the. So this is all about anti-ragging policy. Okay. Thank you. Zero tolerance, prevention, and prompt reporting.
Various forms of ragging. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now our next resource person, Professor Prabhavita Rautrai madam, is announce us to deliver talk and post-program. So Dr. Prabhavita Rautrai is a professor in the Department of Business Management at Fakir University, Balasore. She is having more than 2 decades of experience in higher education research, academic administration, and institutional governance. She also holds a PhD in management from Utkal University that was awarded in 2001 with her doctoral research focusing on organizational effectiveness in the power sector and an MBA in HRM and marketing from Utkal University, where she secured 5th rank in First Division. Her academic and professional contribution reflect a strong commitment to gender equality, women's leadership, inclusive workplaces, sustainable human resource management, and socially responsive management education. She has played a significant role in promoting safe, equitable, and inclusive academic environment through her involvement with the internal complaint committee of Fakir University. Ma'am, we welcome you to this session. I request all the participants to stay back and listen to this meaningful session. I request all the participants who are leaving the hall to stay back and listen to the listen for valued resource person.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I thank Shaktishrec Empowerment Cell of Fakir University for organizing wonderful program. Earlier they have organized self-defense program, which is extremely appreciated by the students. And this is the second program, which is organized by Shaktishrec Empowerment Cell. I represent Internal Complaints Committee of Fakir University and the chairperson of Internal Complaint Committee of Fakir University. And today we will be discussing more specifically about the Post Act. And for the information of the students, we can say that Post Act is also extended to the UGC Act on the sexual harassment at the students, and others, research scholars and others are also included in this act. All of you know that what we are going to learn. We are going to learn about the provisions and to understand what is sexual harassment, and to little a bit we will also understand about POCSO, what is child sexual offences. Then understand what we mean by inappropriate, unwelcome and unsafe behavior, and know how to report the concern in the university. And we will also discuss some cases. Since we cannot cite the real cases, we have used hypothetical cases so that you can understand what is sexual harassment and how to report those harassment in your university ICC. I would like to take just a background of the Post Act. If you can see that it was before 2013, there was no dedicated or comprehensive statute specifically addressing sexual harassment at the workplace. The famous Visakha judgment in 1997 was a major reason for which the Post Act was enacted, and for before Post Act there was Visakha guideline. Then on basis of Visakha guideline, Post Act was enacted in 2013. We will not go in detail what was the detail of the Mohan Devi incident, because all of you can find from the net that how it contributed for the formal creation of Post Act, and Visakha guideline was based on the case of the Mohan Devi. Even again, if you talk about Visakha guideline, I'm extremely thankful to Dr. Kar who spoke on the constitutional rights before talking about DNS. I'll cite here Article 14, Article 15, and Article 19 1G and 21. When Visakha guideline was framed, all these articles, the rights were violated. Article 14, which talks about your equality before law. Then 15 about prohibition regarding the discrimination, and 19G, particularly 19G, it is the protection of the rights of the people for their profession, practicing the profession, and then the 21 talks about protection of life and liberty. All these were violated in the case of Mohan Devi incident, for which Visakha guidelines were framed. And later on, some international influence was also there prior to that. It was the Convention of Elimination of All Form of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, which was the convention was there in 1979, but India ratified it in 1993. So the core idea behind it is that to create a safe working place for the women. So the journey from Visakha to the Post guideline, what is the difference? You can say that Visakha guideline gives that how we are going to prevent, what kind of administrative measures we can take. But Post Act talk about that what are the preventive measures we are going to take and what are the punishable that is things are there. So punishment was clearly mentioned in case of Post Act. And what is this Post Act? If you know, we can have the next slide. The full, that is, the name is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, which is otherwise known as Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. And we commonly call it Post Act 2013. Then we will talk about that in ICC cell we will go in detail regarding sensitization program, because we conduct sensitization program for every department. And periodically, last we conducted in February. Again, after the admission process is over, again we will conduct in detail in the month of September. So, in the case of the Post Act 2003, Constitution of Indirect Complaints Committee, then Chapter 3 deals with Constitution of Local Complaints Committee, Chapter 4 is all about complaint, the procedure for conciliation and inquiry into the complaint. And Chapter 5 talk about that what kind of action we take during the pendency of inquiry, regarding inquiry report, punishment, determination of compensation, and other penalty provision along with the appeal. Then Chapter 6 talk about duties of employer, and Chapter 7 talks about duties and powers of district officers, and Chapter 8 deals with the miscellaneous provisions of the Act. We will not go in detail about the Act because it will take a lot of time, but I will go through the major provisions of the Act. If you look into this definition, I will share with all the head of the departments so that they can share with the respective students group. There are 5 forms of sexual harassment. All of you please carefully listen, because at the end I will ask some questions, because whether you have understood well this thing or not. So please be very careful to understand what is the Post Act 2013. There are 5 forms of sexual harassment. The first one is physical contact and advances. All of you can see touching, pinching, patting, hugging, or holding against me. Sometimes what we do, we pat on the soldier. But when we are patting on the soldier, we pinch the soldier of the other person intentionally. Right? So that is again comes under the harassment. So for your information, when we will conduct department level activities, we will show it through the role play that what exactly the physical advances or contact involved. Then kissing or pushing, all of you know, hugging and holding against me. You cannot hug and hold any that is the opposite gender. Even in the same gender with sexual intention, particularly I am talking about the women because it covers the women under the Post Act. Demanding sexual favor. Demand or request for sexual favor, second one. Third one is sexually colored remarks, right? Like you look very sexy, you look hot, you are very attractive. These are all sexually colored remarks. You cannot give this kind of remarks to another person, right? Then showing pornography, all of you know, any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal contact. I have kept all these things in the visuals forms with examples so that when we share with respective heads of the department through Shaktishrec empowerment cell, all of you please go through it. So these are the 5 forms of that is harassment which have been defined in the Act. Next. What is workplace? Now many times we are confused what is workplace. Any department, organization, undertaking, establishment, enterprise, institution, office, even branch or unit which is established here. So that is come under your workplace. Suppose all of you are going for SIP, summer intensive program, right? So when you are going for summer intensive program to another institution or to another place, say organization, and one incident occurred there, right? You are visitor there in that particular place. So under that, their Post Act also it will come under, and when you come back, here also you can report because that is your course of employment. So you have to define what is workplace. Private sectors are also covered under it, and that's why it covers also hospitals, nursing homes, sports institutions, any place which is visited by the employee are arising out of or during the course of employment. Here when I talk about employee, I also mean student because that the Replica Act is there in the under the UGC Act, which we will cover later on. Any dwelling place or house, even inside the campus, you are saying the residential buildings are also coming under this particular act. Then there is called section 3 of the Prevention of Sexual Harassment. This is very important that no, there are two things are there. No women shall be subjected to sexual harassment in any workplace. So some circumstances have been defined. What is it? Implicit or explicit promise of preferential treatment in our employment. In case of student, what may happen? The faculty or student, if involvement is there, faculty may promise that I will give you good mark. It may happen in any private organization, it is happening. Then I will give you good marks, then spend some time with me, or preferential treatment to the student. Between two students, it can also happen. Even female can also happen, and female and male can also happen. So implicit or explicit promise, threat, implicit or explicit threat of detrimental treatment in our employment. When we are having boss-subordinate relationship, supervisor or the subordinate relationship. Normally, if you look into the cases, lot of cases happens with the PhD scholars. In India, we took statistics, maximum cases regarding to the sexual harassment. It is relating to the PhD supervisor and the PhD scholars, right? So in that case, we are having this kind of things that threat or detrimental treatment in our employment. Explicit or implied threat about her present or future employment status. Why I ask students to understand these things? Because when you pass out from this institution or from this university, you will be joining somewhere. You must know what is your right, and that's why how you can protect your right. Interference with her work or creating an intimidating or offensive or hostile work environment. Following somebody, finding out where she is going, looking out at what she is doing after her workplace is the time is over. You are encroaching into the privacy of the person. That also comes under this. Humiliating treatment likely to affect her health or safety, because it may always create a state of fear in the mind of the women. So that also comes under the what is harassment. So that comes under section 3. In university context, what can be a workplace? Next slide. Next slide. University office. We will come to that. University office or administrative workplace, intensive training, fieldwork or work-related project, official conference. When you are going for conference, if something is happening, that also comes under the workplace, because it is called course of employment or during employment, right? Then work-connected travel or employer or institution provided by transport. So please, dear students, remember when you are using bus for transport, be careful regarding your conduct, because that also comes under the purview of the ICC if you are having any kind of inappropriate behavior, because we may have sufficient witness there in the bus, right? So digital spaces connected with work or institutional activity also relevant depending on the facts. Now all of us are using WhatsApp group, our subject WhatsApp group or our official WhatsApp group. So that is also coming under that. Or having the access to the email ID of the student, and you are using it, that digital space to offend someone. So that also comes under the context in which we are talking about the university. Then section 4 talks about constitution of internal complaints committee. I will refer here to our university internal complaints committee. First of all, 50% should be women, and representation from the different background like teaching, non-teaching, and student representatives are there. And every year 1/3 changes will be done. And in our case, what is happening? The students who are passed out, they are now not the part of the committee. New students enter into the committee. So this time we have also 3 students
from our student community, Dikshalokamudra Bari from Department of Physics, Rajalakshmi Swami from Department of History and Archaeology, and Debolina Sethi from Department of BSBT. Besides that, we have the senior-most person as a chairperson who is a woman. So I am heading the ICC cell as a chairperson. Then we also have an external member who is having an experience of NGO or from the law background. In our case, the external member is having a law background, the former principal of law college, and she is our external member. Then we have Mohan from Department of Social Science, who is a member. Gitanjali Panda, right now you are listening to Gitanjali Madam regarding anti-ragging, she is also the member. Subhasri Mahanik Madam from BSBT, and two members from our university staff. Susanta Kumar Das, who is the section officer of our university, and Srimati Uttama Sahu, she is the senior assistant. So we are having our internal complaint committee is complete, right? Then the next important thing starts with that how redressal is done. When you have a problem, how redressal happens. Next slide. Here you can see day 0, the incident happened. Remember, whenever your incident is happening, you have to report within 3 months. Remember, very important. You have to report within 3 months. If it is beyond 3 months, then special permission has to be taken in certain circumstances. But otherwise, in general, it is within 3 months you have to report. Then once it is submission of complaint is within 3 months, then acknowledgement by IC. Here also remember you cannot write a complaint. Okay? Suppose you are unable how to write the complaint. You can approach any member of ICC that they can help you to write the complaint also. You can submit to the ICC cell by ICC mail, even you can WhatsApp to the ICC chairperson, or even you can directly give it to your HOD, head of the department. Even sometimes also submitting to vice chancellor also, vice chancellor is just sending it to the ICC cell. And ICC cell has to acknowledge the complaint after going through it, and otherwise respondent against whom complaint has been made. So initially what is done, that we give the complaint copy to the respondent, and the respondent is given a time frame to report it back. That within the specific time period he has to give. Then ICC series of meeting is conducted in ICC, and within 90 days we have to give the report. To whom we have to give the report? We have to give the report to the authority. After completion of the inquiry, within 10 days, we have to submit to the report to the authority. Here, the authority means we have to submit to the registrar. Right? Then, after receiving the report, the registrar has to act within 60 days. Right? So, 60 days, within 60 days, we can take any of the party can go to the court of law or can appeal. Within that, then another 90 days period is there. So, it is a very time-bound framework. Right. Another point here I want to say to all the girls sitting here, many times you must have heard that an incident occurred with me. I do not have any evidence. Now the question comes that there is always evidence. No, don't fear. If the incident is the true incident, you report it. Even if the evidence is not there, we will try to find out the evidence. So without evidence, nobody can blame you that it is a false complaint. Mere absence of evidence does not create that the complaint is a false, because it happened maybe within 1-to-1 between the respondent and the complaint. It is our duty to find out that what is to go in the detail about the complaint. So that's why multiple sessions we conduct. Now the boys may ask a question that somebody may frame us or something. If you have not done anything, no evidence will be there with you. If you have done something, some evidence will be definitely will be there. You know that our entire campus is CC camera protected, and even in the few days in the classroom also we will have CCTV protection, and in the corridors also CCTV protection. 99% our vice chancellor monitors the CCTV. So please be cautious. Sir is very micromanagement activity we do, and so please be careful. And he is very particular about that. And we as an HOD also, we monitor inside our department. In hostel also, the warden, the superintendents are also very vigilant.
So if you are not doing anything, you do not have to fear. And if something is happening and harassing you, please do not hesitate and immediately complain. You can also come to the ICC cell and take help. If that's why students are there in the ICC cell. You can approach your student friend, and with the student friend, you can come. I heard from some unofficial source that whenever we are resolving the complaint, somebody is having some knowledge. I got from informal source, but he or she is not approaching and helping us. Because why I will track? Because I will give someone to appear before ICC. No, your responsibility is to help the ICC. So that's why it is our responsibilities. Like somebody is having right, we have the duty. Right and duties are coordinated. And our Karan madam can tell that when somebody is enjoying right means other has to discharge the duty. So right and duties are very much coordinated with each other. If girls enjoy rights, boys have the duty. Right? So that's why it is coordinated. So false complaint, do not try to frame your friend with a false complaint. But if something is happening to you, you always remember that this campus is zero tolerance about the harassment. We are not going to tolerate any kind of harassment. I repeatedly told in any of these, in any forums that we will not tolerate. So that's why not such incidents never occurred here. And within ragging also, sexual harassment can occur. Because female ragging done by the male, or even female ragging done with sexual, some kind of sexual harassment which is coming under the post act also. So again the punishment will be very severe. Because under anti-ragging you are having that punishment, and under the post act also you are having the punishment. So please remember that don't refrain yourself from such activities. So this is all about. Then what? Then we go to the little bit about POCSO. What is POCSO? POCSO directly not related to you, but when you are staying in a particular place, you may come across some child who is being abused by some of the activities. So that's why there is some kind of prevention is there that we have a protection of children from sexual offense, POCSO Act, and here the child is below 18 years. And Madam also told that there are some provisions under the BNS are there when the child is in the adolescent or under 40. So there are different kinds of treatments are there. And punishment is also very severe when the child is below 18 years. So that's why separate act is also there, POCSO Act. I am not very well versed with this act. I think one other day Madam will help us to understand this act in detail. Next we can go to the next one. I will only concentrate on post act. These are the salient features of the POCSO Act. This is gender neutral. It can happen to male, female, and it ranges the age from sexual consent from 16 years to 88 years by making all sexual activity with a minor a statutory sexual offense. So there are some provisions are there under the POCSO Act. If we go detail, we will miss the POCSO Act. But I have made some difference. The POCSO Act is usually dealing with the workplace harassment. Next slide. POCSO Act deals with the sexual harassment, and POCSO deals with the protection of child below 18 from sexual offense. POCSO primarily deals with prevention, provision, and redressal through workplace mechanism, whereas POCSO provides a child protection and criminal law framework with child-friendly procedure. So it is a coming under the criminal law. So we cannot change use it interchangeably. POCSO Act is a different and POCSO is a different. Then we next go. We will go to the next one. Women 18 years and above. Who is involved? What happened? First, who is involved? What has happened? Sometimes what we do, somebody is giving you message in WhatsApp. What we do? We delete it. Because we don't like it, we delete it. Don't do it. Keep it. Keep the screenshots. Because if you delete it and the same incident happened with you, you do not have evidence. So keep all the evidence and be a warning to a person that don't repeat. If repeatedly he is doing, that will be kept as a record. So keep those things as a record because it will help you later on to prove your case. So that's why you have to be very much sure who is involved. In the case, it is one person or several persons, like that. Like bullying case can be also there. Then what happened was the conduct that includes something called sexual in nature, unwelcome, and includes quid pro quo. What is that quid pro quo? That is, if you give this thing, I will give this thing, right? So it's a kind of deal. If you give this thing, then I will give you this thing. So that is a very much, right? So this for that, it happens everywhere. So post-act violation is done many times in private sector organization, to some extent also in other organization also. Because that quid pro quo is always there, right? This for that. A hostile environment or creating discomfort, humiliation or intimidation means creating a fear. So environment has to be also safe. Where you feel like talking, when you feel like expressing, when you feel like moving freely within the workplace. So that's why we say that this hostile environment is also very much there. So workplace, campus, where did it happen? Workplace, campus, official travel, training events, online platform connected to work or study. All of you, those who are seniors, you remember that we have conducted several events, cultural events, inter-university events, women-related events. We always have a women committee there. So we give some do's and don'ts to all the participants on behalf of this women committee, so that we create a safe place for all those participants who are staying here and interacting with the other participants. So that's why even if you are traveling to another place, there are some provisions that will be there to have some respondent is also given an identity, also another complainant and respondent is there. And even once the solution arrives, the copies given go to the complainant and to the respondent along with the authority. So you know that what decision the committee has taken. So everywhere we maintain the confidentiality of the women. Even if we are reporting to the government, we do not report name-wise. We report only that is the case identity and how many cases are registered and how many are closed and how many are disposed of. So we don't give any kind of identity. So identity lies with the ICC cell and confidentially it is given to the register or to the authority for further action. So always your identity is not disclosed. So that you always remember, you feel safe when you are giving a complaint. Next point. I go very. I have done some hypothetical case because we are from management, so we create some case study. Student-teacher interaction in the university, extra attention and favoritism, unwanted personal message on social media, inappropriate touch during guidance, marks for personal work. Case so that like inappropriate touch during the guidance, I'll see it somewhere. So you have to say no means no. Yes. What is happening here? Hello, MBA students. You see that other students are very disciplined. And simply throw you out. So please maintain the discipline. So when we are talking about the case 3, inappropriate touch during the guidance, marks for personal work. Remember, marks for personal work. There is nothing called nepotism or any favoritism. Right? So always remember, case 4 is a marks for personal work, public shaming with sexual overtone. Whenever I teach a classroom, whenever teacher मैंने कोड भी यही करे, यूज भी यही करे, हमने कोड यही करे, कमेंट मारंतु. कौन सी जियो ड्रेस को नहीं की कौन को नहीं की, तो जानी था सेवरा कौन सा ना सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट. तो हमें कहा कि कंप्लेंट करो परिवार को सारी कमेंट ना करो with the sexual tone. So if it is happening, you can really complain. So that's why public shaming with sexual overtone, isolation in closed place. Comment any room person comes and interaction with you. Don't go there. And otherwise that if somebody is calling you, that come and meet me, isolated place, don't go there. Go with your friends. I will not say the name of the person, but once when I was studying doing my research, one of the professors asked me that I was just interacting with you, then why don't you come to X place? I said that yes, I will come with my friend. Okay, alright, with some other thing we will do. So as a girls, you should have that kind of guts, whoever they be. And that person was a very senior and very reputed person. I have that kind of guts. So nobody can call you to an isolated room. So interact, and when you are going to a particular room, tell your friends with you. So don't disclose. So don't discuss anything within the isolated room. I also advise everyone. So have a discussion in open forum and in open place so that this kind of incident never occurs. So that's why isolation in closed place creates some academic harm. Nobody can do academic harm. Everything is publishable. You can take the printouts of your answer sheets. You can take everything. So nobody can threat you on that. Continuous assessment have to be disclosed. So nobody can give you any kind of threat. Right? So there will be no academic threat at all. Sexist remarks in the class. As I said, sexual tone and sexist remarks. You cannot do. And I also request everyone to be very, very mindful in the language. When you are in the classroom or in the premise, and even outside also in the WhatsApp or digital media, don't use it. So these are the cases which are related to the student-teacher relations. So sorry, that the heading was given student-student. It is student-teacher interaction. Next. Student to student. On an basis, late night chats. This is frequently happening with many youngsters. Late night chats. And your friendly later on lead to sexual harassment. Because so this happens, pressure for dates, relationship, not the shared image, inappropriate touching and physical behavior, rumors and character assassination, online group. Why? Rumor and character? Because she is not friendly with you. So spread bad news about the girl that she is not a good girl. So who has spread? He will be prosecuted. Remember. So these are between the students and students. Online group is used. Online group re परस्पर विषय chatting करता है और हमारा chatting करता है. Faculty वालों ने ये request कर दी. सब वाले अपने बहुत बड़े समय में complaint पाए. आउट वाले faculty उनसे discussion करो तो student को सकता. If you do that and it is violating the rights of another female faculty, you will be prosecuted. If it is proved. And many times this type of incident occurs, so I said to students never to discuss anything with another faculty about with one faculty with another faculty. If you have a problem, give it written to the head of the department. Head of the department will resolve the problem. So these are some of the cases regarding student-student interaction. Right. Now here, post act is for aggrieved women. But can a woman file a case against another woman? Madam, the case is women because if it is a sexual color. In the Pokso Act, both male female legally women against any that is a sexually natural people. So these are the hypothetical case. We will go further. Next. Solution all of you I will give you. Please go to next. Next. Okay, here we will take some quiz. Because I want to engage students. Right? How much you are listening? Or it is a passive listening or active listening? Right? What does post stands for? Anyone from the back side? Yes, I know front you are there. You are very attentive. I am asking somebody from there. Well, you can say yes. No, that is not sufficient. You are not very far completely. Yes, tell me. What is post?
Post is
prevention of the sexual harassment of women at workplace. You have to tell it. And whenever you are writing a law, because our law teacher says always write the sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition, and redressal. You will go through three images. What is prohibition and what is redressal? What is the age threshold for a child under POCSO? Yes. Below 18. Very good. Name 3 forms of sexual harassment. I will consider form discussion. What are the 3 forms? Just basic work. What are the 3 forms of sexual harassment?
Please say that. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your extensive elaboration on this particular topic on post and POCSO. And I hope all of you have acquired certain amount of knowledge that will be helpful not only in this campus, but in your future life. Also, you will be able to apply the knowledge or the understanding that you have gained from this particular sessions. And now I formally invite Shaktishrec, Mona Lisa Sahu to propose or to express our gratitude to all the participants as well as the dignitaries who have been associated with this program. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Vice Chancellor Sri Santosh Kumar Tripathi sir, in absence here. Respected Professor Mohan Rao, in absence here. Director BSW. Respected Professor Santosh Kumar Agrawala sir, Chairman PG Council. Our esteemed resource person, respected faculty members, staff members, dear students, and all the distinguished guests present here. So, I am Mohan Sahu, PG Department of Business Management for Brazil, Shaktishrec. It is my great privilege and honor to propose the vote of thanks for today's student awareness program. This is on Know Your Rights, Know the Law, creating a safe, respectful, and responsible campus. First of all, on behalf of the Shaktishrec Environment Cell, Fakir University, I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sri Santosh Kumar Tripathi sir for gracing this program with his valuable presence and for his constant encouragement towards creating a safe, empowering environment for the students. I also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Mohan Rao sir, Director BSW, and Professor Santosh Kumar Agrawala sir, Chairman PG Council, for their valuable presence, guidance, and encouraging words. I sincerely thank our past resource person, Mrs. Vasudhara Kar, for enlightening us about women's rights under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Now, your session was helped us understand our legal rights and responsibility in a much better way. After that, my sincere thanks to Dr. Gitanjali Panda ma'am for the insightful session on safe campus, anti-ragging and healthy boundaries. Your valuable words have reminded us about the importance of maintaining a safe, respectful, and comfortable campus for everyone. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Prajmalita Raukaran ma'am for the informative session on post, POCSO, and your rights. Your valuable guidance has created a greater awareness among us about the importance of laws and our responsibility towards building a respectful environment. I would also like to thank the Shaktishrec Environment Cell, Fakir University for organizing such an important and meaningful awareness program. My sincere thanks to all the faculty members, staff members, volunteers, and students for their cooperation, participation, and support which contributed to the success of the today's program. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Government of Odisha for sponsoring and supporting this important student awareness program. Today's program has given us an important message. Knowing our rights is not only about protecting ourselves but also about respecting the rights, dignity, and boundaries of others. Finally, I once again express my sincere gratitude to everyone who contributed directly or indirectly to the success of this program. With these words, I conclude my vote of thanks. Thank you everyone for the presence of listening. Thank you.
kindly rise up for the national anthem.